All right, so let's do just really quick introductions, and I can start out. My name is Dr. Quincy Hawley, and I am a veterinarian by trade, but by passion, I'm a well-being speaker, motivational speaker, well-being geek, well-being enthusiast, and I'm also the co-founder of Get Motivated. I have I've experienced burnout before, and I was able to overcome that challenge. And that was as a new grad, just being in a really busy hospital and going through some dark times, some challenges. And now it's my passion and my goal and my life's purpose to help other veterinary professionals to just live their absolute best life as it relates to being a human and being a veterinary professional. So, with that being said, I'm going to pass the ball to Matt Holland.
Thanks, Quincy. Hi, so yeah, I'm Matt Holland. I'm a 2017 grad from Illinois, and I am now with VIN as a student advocate. And one of the things I help students with, and student advocate also entails pre-veterinary students and recent grads too. But mental health is one of the things I help that cohort with. And so my personal mental health challenge that started like probably over 2 years ago now. And that was the beginning. And I don't know when the end yet is, if there is an end, but at least it's managed now, is bipolar 2 disorder. And so that last year, what looked like for me, like some very deep depressive valleys. And I share the same passion that Quincy does with helping people in this profession work with and work through their challenges.
Thanks for sharing, Matt. I am Renee Michelle. I'm one of your co-founders to Get Motivated. My role in the industry has historically been a veterinary technician and team leader. I've been in the industry for 17, almost 20 years. And early on in my career, I struggled greatly with my mental health and my physical health. I had a number of diagnoses when I was in my early 20s, including anxiety and depression, chronic back pain and insomnia. And through a number of different modalities, I was able to overcome those challenges and, find a place of, a sense of well-being and get better. And so, after meeting Dr. Hawley, both of us felt it really prudent to share what we had not only been through, but learned in order to really transform someone's life and help them find well-being in their own lives. So thank you guys all for being here today. I know I'm in the car and I'm not as settled as I normally am. As I was mentioning earlier, today is the first day for Gavin and his daycare. You guys have maybe met Gavin before, maybe not, but I thank you all for being here and just showing up. It looks like Dr. Feldman's in the car too. So, not every meeting is like this, but it's really great that we can just show up and be here together.
Hi, good morning. I'm Dr. Barry Feldman. I'm a mental health clinician by trade, suicide prevention specialist. I'm a suicidologist. My clinical research and teaching focus has always been, throughout my career, has primarily been on suicide prevention. And I guess I'm the behavioral health consultant to Get Motivated. I've met these wonderful folks several years ago now. And so, yes, I am in the car, and I've traveled out of state. So I'll stay on the call as much as I can today. If I do have to drop off early, I apologize for that. Didn't have internet connection where I was staying, so I'm kind of moved into the car, not to live, but just to kind of, be on this call as I can. So good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Nice to see you, Doc. And what about, is it Keisha next? Keisha?
Keisha, yeah, my name is Keisha. Hi, nice to meet you guys. I got in touch with Renee through LinkedIn, and she invited me to come on the call that was yesterday. Oh no, sorry. On Sunday. Yeah, on Sunday. Sorry. And then she just invited me onto this one as well. So I'm excited to, I guess, connect with more like veterinarians and like industry professionals. As a young, I think, veterinary professional myself, like just to learn through the lens of you guys and like learn about your experiences in the field, because I'm really excited to explore the field myself and to learn about all of the, like open possibilities that VetMed has to offer. So yeah. And I'm a veterinary, like I'm currently a veterinary assistant myself. And I'm going back to school actually, beginning of May. So really excited to start back. And yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Well, welcome
Mm.
to the veterinary profession, and welcome to Get Motivated Community. It's well, we're happy to have you here. So, and then Bridget, if you're available to introduce yourself, feel free to do so now.
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yes, yes, we can hear you just
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, okay. So sorry for if my audio is spotty in the lack of video, but I am also in the car and actively driving. So my name is Bridget Rollins. I had originally met Quincy through LinkedIn and then had some conversations with both him and Renee. And I've been in the industry for over 25 years, and I'm currently a VP of operations for one of the larger veterinary consolidators. But more importantly, Quincy and Renee's kind of vision and mission really spoke to my heart. I am a PhD student in organizational leadership, and my dissertation focus is on the high rates of suicide in veterinary medicine. So hence my interest in connecting with Quincy and Renee and the team. And, for me, my goal is really to kind of peel back the onion and help our industry in particular to remove that taboo around mental health issues, suicide concerns, and what have you, because we know that we have a high rate in our industry, and I don't believe we have a solution at this time. So it's really a passion project for myself, and I felt very aligned with what you guys are attempting to do as well. And then personally, because I do appreciate how open the group has been this morning, honestly, I also have battled with depression and suicidal thoughts in my past. It's many, many years behind me now, but it was something that I privately battled.
Thank you all for sharing that. Yeah, I think it's amazing that we can come together and be really transparent and vulnerable with each other. I believe personally that by doing so, that will help others come forward and do the same thing and really find the resources that they need to, make that difference.
That's right. And, one reason behind creating Get Motivated, and then also the idea behind this is to hopefully make people feel more comfortable and to understand that there's nothing wrong with you if you're having well-being challenges or mental health challenges, and that these things that happens to the best of us. And but there are solutions and there are ways, and to come together as a community so that we can offer solutions to each other and just also offer support. And so with that being said, Renee, you want to go ahead and kick off today's session with kind of what we're going to be talking about today, because I'm always excited to hear the sort of mastermind all come together as we talk about things.
So two thoughts. One, we're coming off of Veterinary Receptionist Week. So I want to talk about some of the challenges that, whether you are a veterinary receptionist or whether you're not, we've all had experiences in conversing with our clients. And so I want to talk about some of those challenges, whether, we're seeing at the front desks or that we're just seeing, I know Quincy, Dr. Hawley has diffused some difficult clients. I've diffused difficult clients, and in other administrative things, you just deal with different challenges. So what is it kind of like? What kind of challenges are we seeing, especially post-pandemic? And, you know, what things we can do as individuals and organizations to mitigate some of those stresses that come when we're dealing with those challenges. But the other thing that I want to talk about is, and hopefully we can kind of, you know, tackle both of these things, is the isolation. So one of our vet student brand ambassadors, Tina, she had mentioned, you know, that was the call that Keisha was on Sunday, is the turn on your camera call, is because we're so fragmented that people are starting to feel really lonely and isolated. And we're seeing it on a lot of different ends. So whether you're the student or you're the professor talking to yourself, or maybe, you know, it's just from working at home, you know, Matt, I know you're working remotely. Oh, bud, it's okay. And so those are the two things I wanted to tackle.
Okay. Yeah. So along those lines, one of the major, not complaints or concerns that I get, and I'd love everyone's opinion on this, is just client communication and dealing with, I guess, difficult clients nowadays, right? Where with curbside, I think a lot of people are running into challenges with clients having high demands or not understanding a lot of the new protocols and the new changes, and they're having a really difficult time with that. And in my talks, I like to discuss just some of those different ways of connecting with people. As a mentor, one of the common things that I hear from pre-veterinary students and even from some veterinary students, and Matt, you probably heard this before too, where it's like, I'm coming into veterinary medicine because I don't like people, or I don't want to work with people. Not realizing that, okay, most animals come with a person, even if it's a wild animal, right? Like we got to deal with like wildlife services, something like that. So, like how can we eliminate, not that as a challenge, and this is the other thing that's kind of a pet peeve for me, is that oftentimes we're looking to change the entire system. We're looking to make the clients behave a certain way. We're looking to make leadership behave a certain way, and those systemic changes take a very long time oftentimes. And so I'm more interested in seeing, okay, what can we do at the level of the individual to what can we do at the level of the individual to be able to thrive, despite the fact that the clients come in and maybe they're disgruntled or they have unreasonable expectations or things of that nature.
Yeah, the thing that comes to mind is something I heard from a fourth year student. I think she just graduated, but she was saying that what she picked up during rotations was to set expectations with clients before, like, to the extent that you're able, if it's one of those services, like if it's ER, that's tough to do. But if it's like a scheduled appointment, then call them ahead of time and say, this is what's going to happen. You're going to stay in your car and it's going to take longer than it would have otherwise, and kind of like walk them through the process. So to kind of like nip those events in the bud, like to diffuse a difficult situation before it starts. And that's not perfect, obviously, but it was really insightful for the current moment that we're living in. I thought it was one of those like little bit can go a long way tips to help maybe the frustrated or angry client who decides. I've heard this happening several times, who like decides to leave the clinic like during an appointment and like go get groceries or go do something else and just leave, and that presents a whole new problem. So that's
yeah, and to speak to that, Matt, I think as that's brilliant. It makes a world of difference. And for me as a technician, one thing that I would do in my early career is when I was getting trained up to go over what those expectations were, was, listening to the veterinarians. So if it was trying to explain what the expectations would be around an appointment for a lame leg versus, a diarrhea case versus, an allergy case or something like that, that capacity to better explain things I best learned from the veterinarians more so than from other peers, because then I could create my own, we'll say, script, something that really made sense to me and that I could get out to the clients in a way that they could understand, right? Because there's still that barrier between what we know and what they know. And so that's something I think we can build up on our own, because like the way Dr. Holly talks to patients and clients rather is really different than someone else. Like just the language that you use, the tonality that you use, and really every client's different. He's excited. At least he's in a good mood, guys, right? Yeah. Every client's different and every case is different. And so I think being able to figure that out for yourself is really important, and figure out what works for you. But there's a lot of stress that comes from that, learning that stuff in the beginning.
All right. And so there are two things that I heard. So the first one is, I'll ask Dr. Feldman to chime in on this, but and so Matt setting expectations with clients, and the word that immediately popped up to me was like boundaries, right? So having the boundaries. And I think that when we look at a lot of the well-being challenges and maybe even in the mental health realm as well, I'm not 100% sure, but it's having boundaries for yourself as an individual, and then having boundaries, I would hope, as an organizational culture. But Dr. Feldman, is boundaries something that you've, or having no boundaries or the lack of boundaries, something that you've encountered much with your work as it relates to people's well-being, mental health?
I'm trying to think of what do you mean by boundaries, and and what are you talking, like for the receptionists dealing with clients, or
yeah, like
I'm not quite sure what we're talking
maybe
about
like
here.
someone starts cursing at you or speaking to you, belligerently.
Yeah.
Kind of like,
okay. Well, there's a lot of there's a lot of things I've taught, like de-escalation type of techniques, very helpful things to do for whether it's law enforcement officers or receptionists, or anybody who's dealing with the public kind of one-on-one. And I think it depends. There's a lot of factors here, but in general, I think obviously you want to present kind of a calm, cool and collected, so to speak. And depending on what the receptionist person is facing, if the person's getting angry, you don't want to meet them with anger. You want to try to be calm and reassuring, and do your best to essentially de-escalate them. I think it's important, in terms of boundaries and self-disclosure. I don't know if that really applies here necessarily. I think that it's really realizing that yes, there's a limit to how much a person should take. If the client continues to escalate and starts to use expletives and just really gets angry, then clearly those are boundaries that you don't want people to cross, and you have to politely and firmly try to say to them, look, we're not going to even let you in here unless you calm down. Just as I say, it depends on the situation. I've done a lot of role plays in this. It would be interesting at some point to maybe try a role play with something like this.
Right.
I think it's also, I just want to mention one other point here. Compassion is a key element, to realize that the client that you're dealing with may be having a tough day, in addition to their animal, being ill or sick or hurt. And of course, that goes for the receptionist too, though. The receptionist
may have started their day out pretty, in a pretty bad way. But obviously it's important to try to compartmentalize that and keep those, the personal issues, out of the equation as best as possible. So I think key point, compassion, and as I say, in de-escalating, don't meet the person with the same kind of, if they were vehemently upset or, and so on. So a couple of thoughts on that.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I love that, man. That's
Brilliant
great. That's
as
great.
always. I think
I don't know about brilliant,
well,
but thank you.
it seems simple, but it's really brilliant. Is that one thing
Yeah.
we forget is that the clients don't have the same level of education that we do. It's kind of like us taking our car to the mechanic, and so sometimes you'll see people get frustrated because they don't understand, like you guys mentioned in the beginning, that it's going to take longer because of X, Y, or Z, or whatever the case is. And so to have some compassion and then explain things really helps you explain them maybe a little bit better, or be a little bit calmer, because you're not, it's a mindset shift. You're not angry and upset because you're judging what they don't know. Instead, you're just seeking to understand and being compassionate, and then explaining it to them so that they can make an informed decision.
Yeah, I thought that was really good, Dr.
And
Feldman.
I do think,
Oh, go ahead, Bridget.
I was just kind of going to pile on to what's been said. I think in our industry, in my opinion, the CSR is kind of that frontline worker, right? They're interfacing with the pet parent. And in a lot of instances, those individuals don't necessarily have a veterinary background and or significant training compared to, let's say, a DVM who's a licensed veterinarian, or an RVT, right? And I think where industry has maybe not done right by those individuals is the lack of training. The training for, so in my particular company, we focus on EQ training. And so we actually teach all of our team members how to de-escalate a situation. We teach them perspective taking, or along the lines of what Dr. Feldman said, that compassion. But don't get me wrong, that's also mentally exhausting for those individuals too. So I think he had also mentioned role play, which I really support. It's something, again, where we put the CSRs on the front line and kind of say, like, yeah, sure, answer the phone, have a great day, and then they're getting hit left and right and really not sure how to handle some of these individuals. But I think by actually spending the time to train them, to role play some of the common scenarios so that they do have the tools and feel equipped to handle some of these individuals, we're going to set them up for success.
Yeah, beautifully said. I love all of that. And one thing that Dr. Feldman and Bridget have touched on is training. The lack of training, in my opinion, can make an astronomical difference as it relates to someone's veterinary experience as a veterinary professional. Because if you come into the field and you don't understand the communication aspect of working with people, my greatest, some people are boarded cardiologists, they're boarded neurologists, boarded surgeons. I'm a boarded human communication specialist, and that gets me out of all types of trouble, Bridget. All right. And it's honestly my greatest skill set.
There you go.
You know what I mean? And most people, they don't have the compassion, like Dr. Feldman said, to understand that maybe the person is yelling at you because they had a god awful morning, or a god awful last week, or they've had a god awful entire life, right? And it's not your problem, so to speak. But if you can really see through that and past that, have your boundaries in place. I'm only going to take the F-bomb 3 times before I have to, pass you off to someone else or dismiss you, or if you're the owner, to fire you as a client, things like that. But when you can look at that person and be understanding and compassionate and treat them as the person that you know they are deep down on the inside, oftentimes that completely changes the interaction that you have with them, because they're expecting, if they come in angry, they're expecting anger back. And so if you do what Dr. Feldman said, and if you can de-escalate that with, compassion, and say, I understand, and I really want to help you. It's not fair that that happened to you. I want to help you. That sounds different to them, because they don't normally get that at Walmart, right? Or wherever they've been interacting, or with their family members and their friends. They don't get that type of interaction. So it just clicks off in their head, this person is different. This organization is different. That's the type of thing that they're doing. So I love the fact of training, because a lot of the problems that I see with veterinary professionals who are getting slaughtered, I'm just like, wow, man, the thing that's driving you crazy every single day, that's basic. It's a basic human communication, interpersonal skills thing that is tormenting you on a daily basis, because you haven't had the training. And that's innocent ignorance, right? That's not intentional neglect. That's just innocent ignorance that no one's ever told me about this before. And so it does make a big difference. So thank you, Bridget and Dr. Feldman, for that. And I'm glad that your company, Bridget, is doing that in training.
Oh, you needed your last second there, Q.
No, I was just saying thank you
Yeah.
for sharing.
I think that, it's incumbent on an organization to provide at least rudimentary training. I mean, you're doing a disservice to the organization and to the individual, who has the responsibilities that we're discussing, if you don't provide some education and training, for them to handle their role. I think that that goes, should pervade the organization. Training to build, to acquire knowledge, gain some education, and then they can use the knowledge towards skills, towards the skills, and develop the skills to do what they need to do. So, yes, training is paramount. Should certainly be an underpinning, basically throughout any organization, for the individuals doing various tasks. Yes, they have technical knowledge. They've gotten that knowledge in school, is the assumption. But human interacting with other people, people skills, those kinds of things. Some of them can be taught, no doubt about it. I think some of those skills are also kind of inherent in the individual. Don't put a person in a certain position that they're not really suited for, and vice versa. So, to have the match, but clearly providing training is essential. I think, and people should not make assumptions, within the organization. So arm the people, provide them with the best chances to succeed in their positions.
It's so funny that you say that, Dr. Feldman, because you're saying it like, the training should be very basic, standard, like, like foundational type things. And every time I talk to someone outside of the veterinary community, they're always like, teaching things like even gratitude, perspective, and mindset. These are very basic, but they're not being taught at all, especially not on a profession-wide basis. And so for Bridget's company, for example, to be providing those things, like that, to me, is progressive. But there are a lot of people who are very non-progressive, and especially if you're talking about individual hospitals or privately owned hospitals, because sometimes the leadership even thinks that people, or the role of a receptionist, that they're expendable. So if they can't handle it, you know what I mean? Then, maybe you're just not cut out for this field. I'm like, or maybe they just needed some basic training that you didn't provide them with before you stuck them in front of the telephone to answer the thing all day. And because I was talking to Mr. Dudley one time, and Mr. Dudley's our business mentor, but I was telling him about the challenges that the veterinary community is having, and he was like, "Y'all don't talk about stuff like gratitude and stuff like that." And he was just like, I was like, "No, we don't." He was like, "Oh, Okay. Almost as if, well, it makes sense that your field is struggling if simple principles aren't being covered on a very wide basis, you know? And so so Bridget, like what do you think we can do, because, and I'll pass this to Bridget or to Matt and to you too, Keisha. Uh, if we know this is an issue within our field, within the profession, what can we do to make this to solve the problem? What solutions are there aside from, you know, I know Bridget, with your organization, you're already making changes.
And to piggyback on that question before you answer it, you guys, is especially in the times that we're in, because the hospitals are understaffed, and so what we're hearing is that we're understaffed, and so we don't have the adequate time to train, and so potentially not getting more help because they're looking for like really experienced individuals. And so, you know, to Dr. Holly's question is what can we do, especially in these times when we're understaffed? How can we provide adequate training, you know, or onboarding, or even advanced training for members of the profession who are already in the industry but are looking to next level their
Yeah, I mean, I just want to say, Quincy, you so hit the nail on the head. It was interesting to hear Dr. Feldman talk because, you know, appreciating his perspective is like, well, duh, train them, right? You know, like that's kind of what other industries like would just assume you do. And I think to Quincy's point, you know, for what my particular organization is doing, it's truly innovated, which I know is a shock to people outside of the industry, meaning the training that occurs is basic. This is how you answer the phone, this is how you count the cash drawer. But what is lost on those hospital owners in many instances, including some of the consolidators, so more corporate, is the people component. They lack the understanding of the importance of EQ and conflict competence. And as a result, they don't even know that they should be training their individuals, you know, kind of in that lane, if you will. Now, with regards to how do we make others aware? I mean, I know I'm going to sound like a corny plug-in, but I feel like Quincy and Renee are part of the how. You know, I think it really is educating others that this is a training component that exists and kind of creating that buzz and then slowly letting this leak into the industry so that individuals, you know, almost like the push-pull style, start to seek it out, right? Because we know that our team members want the tools. They don't want to hate their job, but they don't know what tools to ask for.
Yes, yes.
So, you know, my perspective. Oh, sorry.
Bridget, did you accidentally mute yourself, or were you
No,
done?
Oh, I was done, you guys.
Okay, that was beautiful. Thank you.
yeah, obviously, you know, key points. You know, my perspective is not, you know, making the assumption that the training is there. I know that the training is not there. I know that the training needs to emanate from, you know, I mean, obviously throughout the whole industry, but it has to start at the practice level. And, you know, there should be an onboarding process. We can go, you know, probably do a whole separate, you know, session on identifying the various components that are required and, you know, should be required or would be expected in a training. I don't think we want to necessarily do that now. I think that it really starts with the mindset of the practice owners, the leadership, et cetera. And you just do things part of an onboarding process. A lot of organizations or practice settings will have this, you know, here's somebody starts their job, here's the things you need to do. They take them through the you know, all those kinds of things, and that would be the great place to incorporate some of the things I think that we're discussing here. um, as I said, it's not fair to put somebody in a position if they don't feel equipped to handle it. So clearly, the profession, as you know, as is the case, frankly, with many, many, many professions, this is not unique to veterinary medicine, but it certainly, you know, is identified as we're discussing as a, you know, a key point, a key issue. Let me just say this, please. The reception person is typically the first one that the client encounters when they walk in to the building. So, you know, that person can clearly set the tone and how they handle people, how they work with people, you know, is so important, and that often leaves lasting impressions with the clients. If they were treated poorly by that individual, then that's going to stick with them. They'll remember that they didn't listen to me, they didn't hear me, they were rude. You know, all those, you know, the negative kind of things that might you know, be factors here. So the culture of the organization needs to include all that. There's material out there, certainly, as Bridget is describing, the content material is there. Nobody needs to reinvent the wheel relative to, you know, developing all this newfangled content. It's there. So how do you disseminate it? These days, you know, I'll just add this, you know, people are more used to virtual training, doing things virtually. So, you know, break down some of the barriers that might exist in terms of trying to provide the training. And yes, that's a lofty goal, but obviously has to start somewhere. And this discussion, I think, is important, certainly important in that regard.
Yeah, this makes me think of the perfect storm that has converged on this moment here, because we are talking about, you know, the strength of the relationship between a doctor or even just a clinic and a client, and these interpersonal skills that Quincy's talking about that are so vital. Well, I totally agree, and I think that takes longer. That takes more time to do and to put into practice, than it does to skip over that part because you're busy. Well, we're now in this time where we've already acknowledged that these clinics are busier than they've ever been, and almost every clinic is understaffed and
Yes.
overworked. And so you have an incredibly difficult choice of, you know, keeping on that track of strong interpersonal skills and maintaining those relationships with clients, or trying to get through your whole to-do list for the day with enough time to get enough sleep at night. And I am really curious what Keisha thinks, being an assistant. And you know,
Yeah.
it's just one clinic that you're in, but I bet it's I bet it's the same as what we're all hearing.
Well, no, and actually, I'm really excited to comment on this actually, because I was that person who had that kind of like lack of experience. Like, I love how you guys are all talking about training, because I was at a clinic that they let me go within 3 weeks, um, which was really, like, I was quite depressed about that. And it was like a huge kind of hit to the heart, because I was trying to grow like within the skills that I had, even though like I am still a student, I still have so much to learn. Um, I'm going back to school soon, so I know that really helps. But I think the experience that I had at that clinic, I think there was some mentorship, but I was hoping to have like a little bit more, I think, because they told me before, because I basically, when I talked to them on the phone, they're like, "Oh, we're not gonna throw you into the wolves." Like, I told them I had limited experience, like, in the field, um, before, and so but then I felt that, like, since it was really fast-paced and everything, they kinda, like, sat me in a position where, it was kind of like, just try to kind of do the day-to-day stuff, I guess, but then I felt lost, because, like, I didn't have all that training kind of to kind of, like, back that up, um, and I like before that clinic, all I did was a co-op at another clinic, which was 5 years ago. Um, and so I felt that, like, given that experience, that was difficult for me, and I was trying to see if I could like grow within kind of, work up to that ideal role as a VA. Um, but I think like I am kind of like a slow learner as well. So I think maybe they thought that I'd be a little bit more, I guess, grasping like those concepts more. I don't know. It's just like I was seeing if I could, be the very best version of myself in that clinic, but I guess um, maybe they didn't see that way. And when they let me go, they didn't actually give me a reason why. They just sort of told me, well, we're just going to let you go. And then I emailed them afterward. And so then they gave me, like, they followed up in saying, well, we were looking for somebody with a little bit more experience due to the, industry strains that COVID has put on our profession. It is difficult, like, just very like fast paced and kind of understaffed. And I guess they couldn't um, maybe train me so well in that kind of aspect of things. Um, yeah, but again, I was seeing if I could maybe kind of um, like have a bit more of that mentorship, which I felt like um, maybe it kind of lacked a bit, and so like I was a little disappointed. Um, And I know, sorry, I don't want to like go on or anything, but like the first week, they actually opened up a satellite clinic. So like that for a whole first week, like I was at the satellite clinic, and there wasn't anything really happening. There was just opening it up and preparing, and so I was doing like stocking and stuff, and all of that. But I think just a general like VA role, like I did that the week after, so that was kind of just really um like the full week of just doing that role. And then it was the last week, like midweek, there was like a holiday because I started in January, and then there was like a holiday, and then after that holiday they let me, like, they told me, well, unfortunately we're gonna like let you go. But maybe if I was like in the full aspect of that clinic, um, like earlier on, then maybe that could have been better instead of putting me at that new clinic where there's really nothing happening. There's nobody there. There's some people, but there's no like clients coming into that new satellite clinic because they're just all setting it up and everything. Um, yeah, but I mean, it was an interesting experience, and like I enjoyed the time that I was there, and the people were all nice, and I really enjoyed like interacting with the clients, and like of course seeing the animals, and yeah,
Wow. Wow.
and
Well,
so I'm hoping to kind of learn from that experience, like moving forward. Um, yeah.
yeah. Y-
Hmm.
Keisha, thank you so much for sharing your personal experience, and I just want to say kudos first and foremost for being here today, and for or showing up to these types of events where it's showing that you're getting better instead of bitter from those experiences. And if there's any sort of doubt that you're cut out for this profession, I just want to say that you've got what it takes, and not to allow one experience where maybe it probably wasn't even your fault that they didn't train you, or maybe they put you in a tough situation, but hopefully, and it doesn't look like you are, but don't judge the entire profession by that one hospital and that one clinic experience. I know that in my very first veterinary hospital experience, that I was doing all types of crazy stuff, and messing stuff up, and just maybe not being prepared for that role. And if I had gone based off of what leadership or what the veterinarians or what the entire practice thought about me, that maybe I wouldn't even be a veterinarian today. So I just want to encourage you to keep going, and you've got the mindset to go and to do self-study and things of that nature, and to show up on your own time. So I think that's the most important thing, is your ability, willingness, and desire to get better over time, and to continue to go towards your dreams and goals of being a veterinary professional. And there are, I'm sure, some better days ahead as it relates to being in the vet profession. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Holly.
Yeah, I want to echo that. Thanks for sharing. And we look at some of these things, initially kind of maybe considered setbacks, but they're really, we grow from the experiences, we learn from the experiences, and it sounds like you're receptive, to doing that. And unfortunately, things didn't work out there, probably through, certainly not through lack of effort on your part. So yeah, we learn from these experiences. They can be certainly tough to deal with at times. I'm sure, you're talking about very nicely now, and you've obviously had some time to process it and move past it. But you'll always remember that, and you want to incorporate that in your next experiences and take the positives that you gained from that experience. Not easy to always identify those, right? But there certainly were positives, and they'll serve you well, no doubt about it, in the future. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, I want to echo what Quincy and Barry said. I think it's really impressive that you're able to talk about it the way you do and say, they were all nice and I enjoyed my time there. And it was just a lack of mentorship and training. That sounds pretty measured and balanced. And I think more than I have been when I have been in your position. So kudos.
Excellent,
Thank
excellent.
you. Thank you, guys.
Well, I guess I want to be respectful of everyone's time. It is 10:53, 7 minutes from the hour. I just wanted to say, wow, like this is a really good session. I took 2 pages worth of notes of things that I actually want to act on, and to do some of what Bridget said as it relates to just continuing to educate others and continuing to create that buzz to really help the profession out. And I hope that everyone here just thinks of maybe one thing that you could do to do the same, to sort of matriculate how important what we discussed is here today as it relates to your well-being and mental health, like the ability to have those interpersonal skills. And as Bridget stated, we can study EQ, right? Whether it's something that the organization provides, or whether you spend $5 and go get a book off of, Amazon to educate yourself, understanding that you have the power to do that. So, but that being said, I'll open the floor for final comments and thoughts on today's session. And aside from that, thank you all for coming, and I hope to see y'all here in 2 weeks, right, Renee? Every other week, same time, same place. This has been awesome. I really appreciate you all.
It was fun. Thanks, guys. Appreciate the invite.
Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, it was fun. We'll have to get to Renee's second question next time.
Thanks, everybody. Hope everybody has a good day. And, these are difficult times that we're living in, and everybody is affected in one way or another. And, we do our best to try to, acknowledge those things. And, but it can be hard to find, the good in people, and to kind of have that compassion for those in front of you that might be, pushing on your buttons. So all you can do is, you do your best, you try your best. And that's all one can expect, I think. So. That's it. Have a great day.
Mhm.
All right. So see y'all later. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye, guys.
Okay, thank you guys. Take care. Really cool to like see you guys again.
We're happy to have. Thank you for joining.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I look forward to coming on again.
We'll see you next time.
Okay, take care. Have a good day.